Good morning, everybody. May 22. It's Thursday. Yep. You can hear Epidemic Sound Instrumental in the background. Our royalty-free, without copyright, so that we can listen to a little music in the background to keep us streaming on YouTube Live this morning. I think Facebook has disappeared for some reason. The internet connection is pretty strong today, actually. So I don't understand, what happened to Facebook, but what happens. I'm going to check my speed right now. But the upload speed has been uncharacteristically high. Ooh, milliseconds on the ping test, where it's 22 instead of like 38. So that's a good thing. When you do the ping test, my computer sends a ping out in the internet, and then it pings back, almost like a submarine thing. When you hear the bung bung, Well, it comes back in 22 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds actually, so that's a good thing. We have 51 megabits per second upload. We need 16.3, so we're more than double that requirement. So I don't know what happened to Facebook Live, but we got YouTube Live. They seem to be the most reliable. This is a live. It was a simulcast for about a minute, and then Facebook took a hike. Anyway, with that good news, the early news of the morning, as I see it, is the United States House of Representatives has passed Trump's big, fat, happy package tax bill, which I think extends the original Trump tax cuts permanently and adds a few other, exciting details, like money for the big, beautiful wall. Remember the wall that got almost finished? Well, now it's going to get finished. And some other enhancements to the tax bill. 60% of Americans are going to face some nice tax reductions on top of the reductions that you received with Trump's tax reduction bill in his first term, Trump 45. Well, now Trump 47 has got another tax reduction, and then you got, the Doge people reducing, they're at about 170 billion in tax savings, so that's good. You have all this tariff stuff. All these negotiations are underway, which will help, produce a lot of, this is often forgotten. It'll produce a lot of revenue for the United States Treasury. Let's face it, you're dealing with deficits. Well, when you offset that with all kinds of, nice tariffs coming in on imported goods, and what that does for the American economy, the naysayers say, well, everyone's going to pay more for stuff. Well, not necessarily, because you have the idea is to level the playing field so American workers with American manufactured goods can now adequately compete and undercut, in a sense, what the out-of-country manufacturers who deliver stuff here. That's the positive way of looking at it. All right, this is a very general schematic of Air Force One. The left-wing media says, well, it's over 30 years old. Well, I got news for you. It's over 40 years old. It's actually 42 years old. Left-wing media, come on. Use the right numbers. The Secretary of Defense says the airplane is 42 years old. And he knows because the military is the one that outfits Air Force One, with all its stuff. And now the Air Force, by the way, has officially accepted the Qatari, let's say $300 million, 300 million dollar gift from Qatar with regard to the aircraft that they have donated to the Department of Defense. So now it is, now the Department, Defense Department will scour that aircraft to make sure there's no hidden bugs or explosive, whatever. I mean, we live in a strange world. To eliminate all the, possible bad things that might be included. Let's turn down epidemic just a little tiny bit. Yeah, there we go. Background music is good, but we're not competing with it. Anyway, so there's the Qatari airplane. There we go. Enhancing it just a little bit, the color. We got to make sure white is white. So we're looking at the airplane, and it's about white right there. Bingo. That's the plane in question. But this is like 11 years old instead of flying something that is 42 years old. That's quite a difference. So if you put one plane up against the next, it looks a whole lot different. The shape of it is, the aerodynamics has been improved. The engines, are newer for the Qatari senior, wealthy people. So anyway, the military will be dealing with that. And there you go. There's the story. The U.S. has accepted a plane intended for Air Force One fleet. And the only reason why this is, a question is because Boeing is like 4 years late in delivering the two new Air Force Ones that was ordered during Trump's original Trump 45 ordered. And here we went through 4 years with Bite Me Biden, and now we got Trump 47, and Boeing says, sorry, it may not be until 2028 before, and Trump goes out of office in 2029, right? So he may never get to ride in his new Air Force One. So that's why the Qatari plane, which is a 747, manufactured by Boeing, so it's all the same, it's just one big circle, and then it doesn't go to Trump, it went to the United States government, with the idea that, when the Boeing Air Force Ones become available, this plane, which would have had 3 years of use of Air Force One, would then get retired to Trump's library. When presidents go out of office, they get their library. And of course, that's financed with private dollars. And, they'd spend some sum of money to, buy the used Air Force One from, the United States military, So when the new Boeing aircrafts come in, then this Qatari Air Force One would then get retired into the Trump Library, never to be flown by Trump as a person. Remember, he has his own 757 jet. That's worth about $100 million. So, and by that time, his plane is worth more than the Qatari plane anyway. So, but he's got his own plane, So he doesn't need another one. Plus, the maintenance and the upkeep of a 747 is, probably triple that of a 757 Boeing aircraft, which is a good bit smaller, has 2 engines instead of 4, Rolls-Royce engines, I believe. So that's the story on all of that. So none of these gifts have gone to Trump personally. He's worth $10 billion, okay, or more, depending on how you want to evaluate his assets, which he's got, a whole bunch of them. He owns 11 golf courses. He owns a $100 million jet airplane. How about that? He owns Mar-a-Lago. That's worth what? 300 million, a billion. There's nothing like it, on the planet. The C.W. Post estate, sitting on 20 acres, bordered by the Atlantic Ocean and the Intercoastal Waterway. It embodies 22 acres, I believe, of the entire southern tip of the island of Palm Beach. Okay? And just so you know, I did a little, as a banker, financing real estate deals all my life, pretty much. Lots, individual lots on the island of Palm Beach, just north of where Mar-a-Lago is. It's like $12 million per lot, just the lot. And then you put a $20 million house on a $12 million lot, and you got a $30 million estate home on the island of Palm Beach. Those are the numbers. So let's go for the simplicity of the math. Let's just, there we go. Look at this. We'll clear this up. So, on a typical 20, we're going to take Mar-a-Lago for this exercise, and we're going to bulldoze it. Can you imagine? We're not really going to do it. This is just academic. So on 20 acres, 20 acres, 20 acres, a builder's half acre, okay? A builder's half acre. So, which means that you get about, about 1/6 of the half acre is the right-of-way for streets, water, sewer, easement, and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, so if you got 20 acres and you multiply that by 2, because you got builder half acres. Now these are bigger than the $10 million lots I was talking about that are actually selling for on the island of Palm Beach, if you can find an empty lot. So you can put 40 home sites on Mar-a-Lago. Times $12,500,000. Let's get the right number of zeros. What does that equal? Oh, look at that. $50 million. So the land is worth $50 million. So on top of that, you're going to build, you're going to build $200 million worth of homes. Okay. And so for $200 million worth of homes, you're going to make, about 15% entrepreneurial profit on building those homes and selling them to, wealthy people. And they buy them up like crazy, you can imagine. You either get intercoastal sites, or you get oceanfront sites, or you get the clubhouse sites. I'm sure there'd be a clubhouse right in the middle of that 22-acre site. Oh, yeah, with a nice big pool and, and security. And, oh, my God, you're right on Southern Boulevard. You go straight out to the airport. Oh, my God. Oh, what a beautiful place. Yeah. So that adds another $50 million worth. So that's $100 million. So if you bulldoze, and that's real fast math there, but if you bulldoze Mar-a-Lago and just build 40 or 45 home sites on there, the developer's going to walk away with a cool $150-200 million. So it's easy to say that Mar-a-Lago is worth, a couple $100 million. However, a judge in New York City decided it's worth $18 million. Yeah, right. You pay $18 million in taxes, you dummy. I wonder what happened to that lawsuit. Has it been dropped? I haven't heard about what happened to that. Actually, we'll have to Google search that. Someone do it for me and give me an answer. Yeah. All right. There's an update for not quite yet, almost. It's coming in a couple of days. This is what, Thursday. Either by Friday night or Monday night. Let's say within a week, there's going to be an update called, let's see, sorry for the fast flicker. Can we just add Jimmy here so they have a sense that this is a live broadcast? Hello, I'm over here. Hello. Yeah, it's hard for me to get into this. If I'm full, there we go. See, now, if we're full screen, now you can kind of see me. But I like to have the, what I'm talking about also. Let's see, we could turn this a little tiny bit over this way. Yeah, we'll probably lose the clock if we add back. Let's try it and see what happens. Yeah, so you lose the time. So you kind of have to turn that right there. So we have the time. See, Epidemic is pretty loud this morning. You got to turn him down just a little bit further. There we go. Anyway, so the Trump administration has officially accepted the $200 million gift from, the Qataris. It's a 10-year-old aircraft, so a certain depreciation. Yeah. And then they have to, modify the interior for the proper, protections against electromagnetic pulse. The EMP, when an atomic weapon goes off and it, boom, issues an electromagnetic pulse that fries electronic devices. So, and that's, the first thing the bad guys would do, assuming it gets through, our own defenses. Anyway, getting back to iOS 18.5.1. Right now, I'll show you. Let's see if I can show you. I'm going to go to settings, And I'm going to hit software update, and you can see I'm 18.5, and I am you can see that I am a beta tester. I'll touch that right there. Yep, I have the public beta checked. I am not a developer beta, because I'm not actually developing anything for version 19 or 20 or 18 for that matter. I'm not writing any software, so I'm not too sure what other advantages would be. All this stuff comes out. So, of the 2 billion users of iPhone, iPad, and other iOS devices, I'm part of the 1.8 million. There are actually 1.8 million beta testers for iOS devices across the world. And probably, at least half of those are in the USA. So there's probably 1 million of us in the USA. I am really guessing. Swagging it, scientific, wild ass guessing. Swag, I think they call it in the Michelin military. Yeah, the old swag rule. Anyway, I'm at 18.5. Most everybody else is on 18.1 or 2 or lower. So that's what I've got. And there you can see updates introduced. Pride wallpaper. Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. I've already got it. So the important thing is, see that 22F76? That is the actual version of the software. 22F76. Those numbers get more complicated as they add little pieces. So it'd be 22G, 39, 40. So those, instead of 76, it's usually a 4-digit number. But when it gets, this is like 22F heavy 76. Like the call sign of a big jet coming in from the airport. Yeah, 76 heavy. Yeah, this is a heavy version. Yeah, that's about how it goes. So you can see there's I create an extensive name for my devices because my entire iPad gets updated and saved to the internet, so that if something happens to this iPad and I need to restart it and go to, I'll show you, at the bottom of this list where it says transfer or reset iPad, and you got choice to reset it. In the very bottom here, you can probably see it, reset or erase all content and settings. I've had to do that on occasion, not on this iPad, but on other devices where it just, is so corrupted for some reason or other. Probably some, virus or something happened. So when things don't work right and you but when you restart your iPad, let's see. So you go down to, I'm getting lost on where I'm at here. So I hit General, okay, and then you can say Shut Down. Now, shutting down just means turning it off. That's like turning it completely off. And then you restart it. And then you see the black screen with the white logo in the middle. I recommend you do that once a week. So just say on Sunday night, I'm going to shut down my device. You have the same, the same looking opportunities on your iPhone. And I do this at least every week. It just makes sure everything, sometimes, these devices, it won't do this and it won't do that. And you've been using your devices for a long time and all of a sudden it doesn't work. So you simply go to settings. You see it on my iPhone. Let me turn down the screen brightness so you can actually see. There you go. Now you can kind of see. The lens here is so sensitive that if you have a normal brightness on the screen, you guys can't see it. Oops, sorry. There we go. So I'm going to hit settings, and then down at the bottom of the settings, general, which is right here. You can see general. It's right there below battery. And then at the bottom of the screen, you see shutdown. So I'm going to shut it down. And then there's a slide. You slide it over, and bam, it's off. Screen is black. It will not receive call. It won't do anything. This is like you unplugged your computer. Now, since you can't unplug it from the battery, but it is electronically shut off. Let's see if I find friends. Let's just see something here. Find my. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can find me. Let's see where me is. Now it shows a little blue dot. What I'm trying to do is show you that when your device is off, it's off. And people can't find you because Find My isn't going to work. That little blue dot will disappear, because there's nothing to find. It's off. Now I'm going to turn it back on. See, I'm going down. Let's see. Let's Cumberland Ambulance due north. There we go. Boca Raton. There's Lake Boca. Look at that. Isn't that just amazing? This is all this mapping. There's the hotel, which I can see out my window. Anyway, so now I'm going to turn my phone on, and you hold the side button. You don't have a home button on these anymore. Remember that home button down there in the middle, they turned out to be a useless button? I just think they got 1 billion buttons out there. Turn in your phone, gang. Get rid of that iPhone 8. Yeah. Come into the 20th century. These devices are like 4 times more powerful than that ancient phone iPhone 8. I think that's the last phone with that has, that's amazing. There we go. There you can see the hotel. Marilyn, I got married at the Boca Hotel properties right in the middle of this, they call it the cloisters. Right in the middle there, we got married. Yep. There we go. And we stayed over here at the beach club, which is, I'm gonna say this. It's not that. I guess it's this right here. Yeah, right there. That should be the Boca Beach Club right there. That's where we stayed. That's part of the Boca Hotel. Not this building over here. It's that building right in the middle of the screen. Yep. Anyway, so now I'm going to hold this side button here. It's totally off. Nothing works. Now I'm going to hold the side button with my thumb. You can hold it for like 5 seconds, and you're going to see the white Apple logo in there, which is the indicator that the system is powering up and loading in, about 7 gigabytes of operating system. That's a lot of operating system. These things are very safe, they're very secure, and they're very sophisticated. All right, 1, 2, 3, bingo, holding the button. 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3. There it is. There you see that distinctive white logo. And it is turning itself on, and it is loading about 7 gigabytes of operating system. And then my blue screen will pop up any second. Takes about 10. There we go. See, there's my screen. And it's looking for my Face ID. Oh, you know what? You need to put in, you need to put the password in when you restart the phone. That is a requirement. And then from now on, it uses Face ID. All right, so you do that. It only takes, what, 2 minutes? Turn it off and let it sit for 30 seconds. And then, the screen is all black, and then you just hold your thumb on that, on the side there. And then all the registers and everything gets cleaned out. It's like taking a shower. Wash off all those skin cells. Wash your hair. Do a little mouthwash. Do your neighbors a favor. Anyway, so now we should be able to find me very accurately instead of having a big blue circle like, where'd Jimmy go? Yep. So we're going to go back to my photos so we can see what's going on. Anyway, so iOS 18.5.1 is coming out in the next, or at least for beta users, very soon. And then about 3 days later, it will be available for the other 2 billion operating people. Imagine there's several billion iPhones, iPads out there. This iPad is, look at this thing. Look how thin it is. It's like, oh my God. It's like 20 pages, Matter of fact, I have a little package here that I've been working on for one of my favorite clients. And this package is about as thick as the iPad, and there's like 20 pages. That's it. It's actually not 20 pages. It's less than 20 pages. Maybe 20 pages. Yeah. That's it. That's it. And it weighs, it's nice and light. It weighs maybe a pound. And it is like stuffed. It's got the same technology as my iPhone 16 here. Yeah, we're getting ready to, this is May, June, oh my God. In a week and a half, you're going to have the Worldwide Developers Conference, which is everybody in Apple that knows anything about Apple, that does any kind of programming for Apple, anybody that is in the design team of Apple things, whether it's iPods, iPads, AirPods, iPhones, you name it. The Worldwide Developer Conference, the WWDC for 2025. It is in the first week of June, generally. Let's do a little search here. WWDC 2025. June 13th. The keynote address. There we go, right here. This is... Oh, it's right there in my calendar. Look how nice. Yeah, but we want to see it. I want to see it in my calendar. It's already in my calendar. Okay. There's, there's the logo for it. That's not very exciting. The keynote address is, generally delivered at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. California time. It's usually a lot more colorful than this. It's kind of ugly, big white nothingness, but that's the way it is. During the keynote, Apple is expected to announce iOS 19, iPad OS 19, Mac OS 16, I'm on like 15.5 now, and watch OS 12. I'm on watch OS 11 right now. It's charging. I just about almost ran out of juice. I always put my watch on the charger as I'm chatting with you folks, and that gives me another 24 hours. This is, version, 11? Yep. I will be hopefully getting version 12. We'll have to see what improvements. I'm looking for blood pressure. They have a system of determining your blood pressure by measuring if they ping in your bloodstream, how long it takes to ping back from your heart, and it listens to that ping somehow. And when your blood pressure is high, the ping is, probably a little faster than if your blood pressure is lower. Then the ping takes longer to get back to the watch, and it knows the difference between the two, and it's calibrated for you, and it says, oops, your blood pressure is up. It doesn't necessarily give you a reading, but it just tells you it is significantly higher than your baseline blood pressure. So put your cuff on and look at your heart rate. The Apple Watch essentially saved my life, I must have to say, because what caused me to go to the hospital 7 years ago in a week. On June 5th, I had bypass surgery 7 years ago, plus a week. I wouldn't have these 7 years but for that bypass surgery. So what put me in the hospital? My Apple Watch. It started alarming, and it said your pulse is like 150 beats per minute. What are you doing? And I'm sitting on the couch watching the news, relaxing. I'm relaxing. And the watch says, your heartbeat is 150 beats per minute. Put your cuff on. So I have my trusty blood pressure cuff inside this little bag. Took it out of the container and put it on my arm and turned it on. And oh my God, it's 200 over 110. That's not good. That kind of blood pressure can lead to, serious, it can pop arteries inside your brain. You ever heard of a stroke? Well, strokes are often caused by your heart. If you have AFib, bam, a pulse hits your brain and pops some arteries. And if they're not the right arteries, you die. Because your brain fills up with blood, squeezes the brain with all this blood inside your cranium, which is an enclosed area, and you have blood filling up and squeezing the life out of your brain. That's what happens in a stroke. And that can happen in, a couple minutes. You lay down and you're just dead. All your organs cease to work because your brain isn't working, which controls all that. So the Apple Watch, though, is the device that told me something's not right. So I knock on the sliding glass doors where Marilyn is out there chatting with her sister. And I said, Marilyn, we're going to the hospital right now. And I have my little ditty bag of stuff. Go get your little ditty bag. And I am not waiting for an ambulance. You are driving me to the hospital right now. So in your little ditty bag, prepare to be there for, 12 or 14 hours, if you don't mind, assisting me. Yeah, this is like a Monday night or a Wednesday. I don't know what it was. I think it was early part of the week. It wasn't weekend. It was Monday or Tuesday. So by the time I got it, so they took a blood test and they looked for that special enzyme that hits your bloodstream that says, yes, you've had a heart attack. I said, okay, that's why I'm here. So they immediately gave me an IV drip of heparin and nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin expands all the capillaries, and heparin is an anticoagulant thing so that you won't get blood clots because of all this abnormal blood pressure activity. But that'll go down real fast because when the nitroglycerin hits, all your capillaries dilate, which lets blood flow through your system more freely, and the blood pressure will drop very quickly. And the heparin keeps you from getting any blood clots, which you don't want that either. And that gives them time to figure out what's going on with your heart circulatory system or whatever. So Dr. Ordonez was the cardiologist that looked over me, and he basically made sure that I had the proper surgeon to do, so he did his exploratory angioplasty. They went up inside my groin, and they slip a thing up, and it goes up around, and they take pictures and videos of your heart. I need to have him show me, what it looks like, what the blockages are, and do we have an after surgery to show the bypasses and all that, or how did that work? So, how does that look? What does that look like? Anyway, so I looked out, coming up. Dr. Ordonez has an office directly across the street from the hospital, Meadows, 150 Meadows is the address, I think, if I remember correctly. So he basically found Dr. Brian Bethay, who's a cardiac surgeon, and he's the one that did my bypasses. And he said, Jimmy, after the surgery, he looked at me and he says, you know what? The surgery came out perfectly, and you're going to eventually drop dead of something, but it isn't going to be a heart attack. Your circulatory system is in perfect operating order. Yeah, we gave you a lube job and a this and that. He said, your heart is in good shape. So there may be something else that'll go wrong, but it ain't going to be the heart. So when you pass, well, I was, like 73 or 4 at the time. Yeah, like 73. Yeah, bam. Yeah, wow. So the cardiac surgeon on June 5th, he did the surgery. And 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm recovering 7 years ago. Yep, so that anniversary comes up. I've got it in my calendar, June 5th. Yeah. Whew. That was quite a... Oh, boy. Whew. The anesthesia was the most... when I came to consciousness after the anesthesia wore off, my fingers were like the size of sausages. Yeah, I mean, forget getting this ring on. Of course, you're not allowed to wear any rings or anything. It took me a month before I could get the ring on. My fingers were all thumbs. They were all this fat. Instead of the pinky finger, was Marilyn put her hand over my hand, and you can see. I mean, it was terrible. Swelling of so there's all kinds of swelling everywhere. So you got to get up and move around, and I got up and moved around. It was oh God, it was hard getting up. But you got to do it. So going to the bathroom was the most difficult thing to have to accomplish. But you wiggle yourself over there, and you very carefully, and then when you're on the throne for a while, and the nurse said, Jimmy, is everything okay? She raps on the door. I said, yeah, everything's fine. I'm just relaxing and enjoying the moment. Time to get up. So, getting off the throne was a little more difficult. But they got all these hand things you can grab to get up off the toilet. Then you waddle back over to the bed, and you sit down on the edge of the bed, and you just sit there for a while because, the wiggling and hoisting of yourself because you don't have any hand things, you got to push down from the bottom, and of course that interrupts with your chest, and your chest is not well because they cracked it open, like 4 days ago. Oh. Yeah, so, yeah. I remember the nurse saying, this is looking good. The fluids that are coming out of your system, your urinary system, you're urinating beautifully. And it's clear. And, because they're putting saline in the IV. And it's going through your system. And then it ends up coming out your urinary thing. So... that was working fine, and so all the organs came back just good in an orderly fashion. I remember a guy came in with this little handheld device, and he had like headphones on. It looked like he was 25 years old, and he has a little stethoscope thing, and he puts it on my foot. And I looked at him and I said, what are you doing exactly? He said, I'm listening to your foot. I said, oh, what is it saying? He said, we're just checking the circulation of your blood in your extremities. And your right leg, your right foot is the furthest distance from your heart. And I want to hear the blood going through your arteries in your right foot. and then in your left foot. So if you don't mind, could you be quiet? So he's listening to my foot and making notes. Oh boy. There you go. So when he was done, I said, so did you hear what you needed to hear from my foot? What is it saying to you? He said, you're doing very well. You have good circulation in your extremities. I said, that's good. Yeah. Because, if you don't have good circulation in your extremities, they start cutting stuff off. We don't want that. You don't want gangrene in the foot. So I wear socks that have a little, I have these red, white, and blue socks on because Memorial Day is coming up. I gotta pull them up. Ooh, sorry. Bang. Bang my head into the microphone. Let's pull these up a little bit. Get the compression they come all the way up to over the calf. So you just have some gentle compression in your calves to, because you don't want, I don't have a fluid, my circulation is good and I don't have like swollen ankles, water balance issues. I take hydrochlorothiazide. How about that for a word? A nice long word. Hydrochlorothiazide. Yeah. Let's see if my iPad can respond to this. Hey Siri, what's hydrochlorothiazide?
I can't help you with that, but you can try in the Help app.
I can't help you with that.
You're welcome.
Hey Siri, what is hydrochlorothiazide?
Here's some info about hydrochlorothiazide.
There it is. Whoop. Could you, hey Siri, repeat that please.
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
Hey Siri, what is hydrochlorothiazide?
Here's some info about hydrochlorothiazide.
All right, I did a print screen. Let's see if it shows. It does. I'll show you that. There we go. Hydrochlorothiazide. That's it. See? Hydrochlorothiazide. It's a chemical compound sold under the brand name of Hydrodiryl. I've never heard of that. It's a diuretic. It is. It's AKA a water pill. Doesn't say that there, but that's what it is. Oh, look at that. They even give you a little, it's an alternating carbon molecule. And it's got carbon and chlorine and some sulfur and some oxygen. I think that's a piece of what it looks like. Yeah, I was a biochemist, so I know just a little bit about that to be dangerous. Anyway, so there you go. Hydrochlorothiazide. That's a very brief something from Wikipedia. I'll save that to photos. Anyway, the Worldwide Developer Conference. Maybe this thing is going to get deeper and deeper as we get closer to, when is this? It runs from June 9 to June 13. And that's at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. A live stream available to anybody that has an Apple device and on YouTube. It's very interesting. Tim Cook gets there in front of everybody and they pass it off to 3 or 4 of their other associates in the Apple sphere. And they go through some software stuff. They tell you, what happened last year as far as, the number of active iOS devices floating around out there. I think it's crowding 2 billion. You know, it was 1.5 billion last year. You know, they sell like 300 million iPhones, just iPhones a year. And there's probably, 75 to 100 million new iPads that come on stream. I've got, 1, 2, 3. There's 4. There's 5. We got 5, and Maryland's is 6. We got 6 iPads floating around here. 3 of them are current, and the other 3 are old. Because I got one here, the 13-inch model. I got the 11-inch model sitting on the dining room table. And Marilyn's got an 11-inch one there, which she does her Zoom calls on. iPad Pros. A magnificent, unbelievable device. Yeah. I have this one on a keyboard, so it folds up like that. And this is like a laptop. It does almost everything that a MacBook Pro will do, except do this broadcast. Yep. But it's touchscreen, an iPad Pro, which is this magnificent device in front that is controlling this broadcast on YouTube. For some reason or other, YouTube is very reliable in doing these live broadcasts. You see up on the top there, my handle, if you want to, if you can hear this and you're not watching it, is the @ FAU for you. And why is it FAU for you? Because I've been on the faculty at FAU since 2003. Since October 2003, actually. I was put on as adjunct faculty in the Charles A. Schmidt College of Science. Thank you, Dr. John Harlan. Anyway, he's the guy I knew at FAU who was in charge of a whole, division within the College of Science. Department, a chair. They call it a chair. He was one of the chairs. I was one of the students, so to speak. A senior student. It was like a 60-year-old student. Anyway, I taught principles of digital photography and post-image processing. Yep. Look at that, 26 million visitors from 150 countries have visited my website. And what is that website? You see this? You see my logo right there in the middle of the screen, right below the lady in pink, that picture right there, next to the Netflix logo and between the Apple Store logo is my logo. It's round. It looks like that. Yeah, that characteristic digital camera on a tripod kind of thing. It says quality digital imaging, 4161100.com. That's right. Be there or be square. So I'm going to touch that icon right here on my iPad. I just got to tap it with my finger. Bingo. And look at it goes to, look at that top of the screen, 4161100.com. And health and wellness creates great images. There's a picture I cherish, taking the International Polo life in South Florida. So, and now if I touch that picture, just touch it. There you go. It goes right to the location where that shot is in the gallery. You can download it for free. Let's go to that 26 million thing. There you go. Look at that. 26,422,844 visitors. Yes, sir. And if I hit the refresh on this, just to let you know it does count, and it goes through all this again, and then I go back down there, and it should have yep, there it is. It stepped up to 845. Yep. All around the world. See the rotating globe. The copyright from 2090 to 2025. All photographs displayed on this website are the sole property of James L. Wilson, unless otherwise indicated. There are some other images other people provided, news agencies, and I appropriately make note of that below each image. I try to do my best. And here is this little paragraph. Whoops, I'm going to shrink it down a little bit so you can see all of it. It's in microprint because I don't like to waste a lot of, I should just make it in bigger print, but it would be, I don't want to fill the page. But, you can read it, you can expando, but it shows that I'm a licensed real estate broker, engaged in the design, development, and property management of major real estate projects in South Florida with offices in Boca Raton. Wilson is currently a licensed real estate broker, BK 0530756. That's it. That's my number. I've had it for, I think like 25 years or so. Licensed in real estate for longer than that. And then I immediately went for my broker license. You have to wait a year. I think you got to wait more than 2 years now, but back 30 years ago, there was a 1 year, you had to have a real estate salesman's license for at least a year, practicing real estate, whatever that means. Or not practicing, you just had to have a valid real estate license for at least a year to qualify to get your broker license. And then, of course, you have another test. You got a test to be a real estate person. And it would be SL 0530756. And then once you get your broker license, then that changes to BR for broker 0530756. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, with several decades of commercial banking experience, our debt and equity teams closed hundreds of major real estate project transactions ranging from 10 million to 150 million in transaction size, including the landmark Joe Robbie Stadium. Yes, sir. I signed off on the Joe Robbie Stadium, and it was a $115 million construction loan. Can you believe it? 1982, 1983. Ooh, 1883. Oh, my God. Do the math. This is a while ago. Yeah, well, I was at Southeast Bank. Yeah. It was, we spread that around to 5 other lenders so that so we took a $20 million piece of it and laid off the rest. We laid off $95 million to 5 other lenders. Yeah. Everything worked just fine. It was a bond deal. All we needed was a CO. Can you imagine a CO on a, what is it, 70, I think I say here, 140-acre site in northwest Dade County. 5 major Super Bowl games have been played at this landmark thing, which Jimmy was part of the financing team. $24,000 parking spots. The parking lot was more of a pain in the butt than the 76-seat stadium. Although the stadium, you got a lot of cement and you got a lot of engineering and architects. You had all kinds of people walking around checking things out. Yeah. 24,000 car parking. It was, ground parking. It was not structured parking. A little bit of structured parking underneath the stadium for dignitaries that wanted to. I'll do a little expando here so you can see some of the stuff. Yeah, 140 car parking. See that in the middle? Stadium hosting 5 Super Bowls. Yeah. There you go. 7. There you go. See it right there? 70 Joe Robbie Stadium. 24,000 parking spaces. It wasn't the parking spaces and the painting of the spaces. It was in the leveling of it and in the drainage. And you had to have the right pitch so that the water... Can you imagine when it rains on a 24,000 spot parking lot? Well, you divide it up into sublots. You got lot 1, 2, 3, lot 100, lot 110, or lot 120. You had 240 100 car lots, really with their own separate little pitch and draining thing, and then it would feed underground into another pipe, and all those things had to be connected right, and you had the drainage gratings. They all had to be properly inserted so that the cars wouldn't trip over them, and that they were stable so they wouldn't collapse when a car would roll over them. You got to test them, da-da-da. Anyway, it's a project. This is what bankers and developers do. Yep. And we have a search engine associated with, our website. So if there are captions, anything about anything, let's see if we just I'm trying to think of a decent search thing. Well, let's just do golf. GOLF. Let's do FAU golf and do a search. We want to search it. So we're going to search 416. See, we got the dot. You can search the entire web, or you can I want to search our site. Google search. Let's see what happens. Touch that. Does something happen? Hello. Yeah. It's live television, folks. Be patient with me. Well, the search engine doesn't. Let's try the web. Does that work? No. Search engine is currently dead. Let's try it one more time. Can we... F-A-U-G-O-L-F. Try F. Is it doing anything? The world is turning. I don't think so. All right, we're going to go home. Wow. Yeah, so now we got that. I've had that polo picture up for at least a year. I love that picture. It's a nice way to start out when you look at 4161100.com. That corresponds to my phone number. How about that? Yeah. Look at that. There's Marilyn with Jay Leno. This is the Concours d'Elegance, the hangar party. And inside one of the hangars at the airport, the Boca Airport, they line up all the exotic cars. And you can see it's sponsored by, it's a big, party for the benefit. It creates donations into the Boys and Girls Club. And here's, see, Concours d'Elegance, Hangar Party, February 7th, 2020. That's the last one. So we haven't been to one of these in a few years. Next year we're going to try to go. So it's in February. So I just have to figure out, who the right person to contact is. Because we are, we go in as press people. And we take pictures for the press. And for the media. And we create a unique album on our website so that the media can come get these pictures and publish them and write stories about whatever they feel like writing stories about. So so you can see all these pictures down below. Every one of these pictures, underneath them, is a whole bunch of other galleries and pictures. And they're categorized into these 36 different things. You can see my spaghetti sauce. There's my teaching. Yeah, there's some medical imaging I did. There's Jimmy when he was a youngster. And there next to the mosquito. So we're going to touch on unique events, since we're just, the Concours d'Elegance and the cars. There we go. So February 22nd, the 15th annual Concours d'Elegance, 27th of February, 10 a.m. on the Boca Hotel property. This is the 15th. See, this one over here is the 14th. We're going to do the 15th. Let's press it and see if there's anything there. There's the gold doodad on top of an exotic car. Hey, there's Jimmy and Marilyn. Yeah, there's a picture of Jimmy taking pictures of the motorcycles. Let's go back. Let's look at the 14th. Yeah, 2020. I guess we didn't actually do the 15th. Or there wasn't a 15th, or, Look at that. So this is like a montage of all the photos. And you can touch... I had one of these cars. A Corvette. Yeah, see that right there? I had one. And this is a 59... Oh, this might be a... let's see, a 58. Because the 59 had two headlights on each side. This is, I think, 1 year younger. But it was white with a blue panel instead of red with a white panel. But look, just like this, had a screw-on hardtop, just like that. And that's the two humps inside there, inside this, what do you call it? Inside the windshield, you see the two humps. Where you got all the electronics for how fast you're going. And the speedometer went 0 to 160, which I never went past 80, I don't think. There's Jimmy and Marilyn. And the Concours d'Elegance. People took a picture of us with our hats on, our credentials hanging from our necks. You get all kinds of things hanging, our press credentials, and all that stuff. Because it was like $200 a ticket to get in there. So in lieu of $400, we take pictures and make them available to the public, as you see right here. As part of that 26 million people looking at stuff. There's the car again. Yep. I had one of those. I sold it, you fool. It didn't have air conditioning because my father bought it and we lived in the North Shore of Long Island and East Hills, right outside of Roslyn Harbor, North Shore of Long Island. See, they're handing out the trophies, the prizes. And you can see the prize table, those little turquoise blue packages of goodies for the ladies and gentlemen. Here's some toys. So I took pictures of that. I think I took some video of that too. I need to be more video conscious because everybody wants to see things moving. So this is the special area where you sit down and enjoy the fine. They invite 20 or 30 of the finest restaurants. And as we page through here, these photos, you can go here and look at these. Yeah, see, I'm looking in. Marilyn's taking this picture. I'm looking in the window. Look how big that steering wheel is. Woo. Yeah, So this is a restored one, you know. And they're worth a couple $100,000 now. My father bought it for $6,000, brand new, from Chevrolet. And my mother said to my father, "Bill, give Jimmy your car keys." Yeah, he said, "What?" Say what? You're giving Jimmy my car? All right. He gave me his car keys, but he wasn't happy about it. He says, "Bill, you can go get another one. Give Jimmy the car keys." He ended up buying another lanyard, another big-ass Cadillac. I mean, literally. See, they're cooking the finest. This is Abe and Louie's, and they have tenderloin on this little bun thing, and you know, with, oh God, a little painted butter, garlicky. Oh gosh, this guy's got some marvelous pasta, and we ate some of that. Yeah. Then you got, this is, you know, I forget what that is. Oh, there's me standing next to that car again. Are we going in circles here? No. Yeah, see here. Oh yeah, putting all that, you know, beefy, oniony, whatever in a real soft bun. It's like a hoagie slider in a little bun. Marvelous. I'll have two of those, please. One for me and one for my wife. Yep, and you know, this is something bello. His head is in the way of some of that sign. I think that's the end of that that gallery. So there we go. We need to go home again. There we go. We got lost. It's always the best just to go home. There we go. There's Marilyn Executive Portfolios. Yeah, she got a cowboy hat on. We can touch that and let's see what happens. There we go. Now these are a whole bunch of, she's a member of the Women's Executive Club. So these are all different, you know, dates, you know, 2009, 2011, 10, 12, 13, you know, 2016. Here's the Cowboy Ball in 2011. Oh my God. 14 years ago. Look how gorgeous she is. I wonder who that is. I know who that is. That's Marilyn. That's Marilyn and Jim show. The George Snow annual event. The Cowboy Ball, January 2011. I said, "Hey, look over this way and give me a smile." There she is. How magnificent is that? Yeah, she's dressed up in her. There's George Snow. Yes, sir. He's got his cowboy buckle on. I can't find my cowboy buckle. Yeah. Yeah, he's a philanthropist in town. All these people are enjoying their dining. He's an important guy I was taking pictures of. That's his wife. See, here's a whole table of them. And they're all important. Yeah, see, he's right in the middle. Yeah, they're all important people in town. Oh, look at that. There's Marilyn. This is my seat. I said, hey, let me stand up and take a picture of all you. Yeah, so, yeah, they all moved around, and it's nice. There's some of the people. Let's see. Jonathan Norton. I'm trying to think of what is this. They'll have their name embroidered on. Oh, I can't tell what that insignia is of, representing the restaurant. Oh, we're going up and down here. Yeah, there's that important fellow, which... Oh, there's Jim Batmazian. He owns the building I'm sitting in right now. Yeah, this 200-unit Royal Palm Place. There's Marilyn and this fella. Marilyn will tell me who he is. I forget. That's Mrs. Batmazian. They were honoring him for some reason. There's some other servers that are preparing these wonderful delicacies that everyone is enjoying at this cowboy ball. Yep. Oops, Marilyn's saying, what are you doing? What do you want? She's asking me a question. There's asking me a question face. Yep, there's a silent auction where you put your name on there and you bid on all these things that they're looking at. Packages, bundles, antiquities. There's a lot of important people at these events. Yeah, these two are well-known people. Not well-known to me, but well-known to the rest of the world. When I got a couple of shots of the same. Whoops, there's Jimmy. Yeah, there's someone singing. And there's a tent where people sit down and eat. Yeah, it's getting dark. There's Marilyn over on the right side. There's that fellow again. There's that fellow again. Out of focus, break ball. That shouldn't be here, it's out of focus. These two are important. And then they had I think they had a fireworks display. There's Jimmy again with I got my badge on. I am a brothel inspector. I'm the brothel inspector. God knows where I got that thing from. Yeah, I got this little tie-tie thingy. Yeah, I got my favorite suede coat on. Yeah, and got my hat and on. I got all my little things around the side, which is the number of events I have partaken in. We're applauding someone who's talking. See, there's my brothel inspector badge. Okay. She's singing. It's getting dark. I took these pictures, looking left and looking right. This is her best side, she says. I said, look the other way. Anyway, there we go. That's how we get back. Then we can go home There we go. So underneath each one of these pictures is, you know, a whole series of photographs regarding whatever this is. And I remember taking a picture of that teepee, and Indian summer, 30 years of native traditions. Okay, let's see when this was. Look at that. She's pretty, huh? I couldn't help but take her shot. Beautiful profile shot there. There's a guy who's making authentic, jewelry. Yep, I got a picture. There's more pictures in this. Yeah. That's etched out in wood, I think. I was looking for a date. All right, no date on that little bunch. This is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know that. Look at this. He's a famous guy. Blake Shelton. I took pictures of his performance. In 7 p.m. Indian Summer, September 9th, 2007. Look at that. I mean, if you ever see a CD-ROM cover, that's it. Oh, yeah, and you do the writing right over there. Yeah, look at this. This is all shots that Jimmy took during this event. Yeah, look at that. Every one of these could be, look at that. You know, a CD-ROM. Look at this. Woo! I love these pictures. This is a little quieter picture for melodies. And he's clapping his hands. There is some intensity. There's side lighting. I did some special. There you go. There's some. I made sure I had the lighting from the studio, so they weren't burned out. And this one's a little bit burned out, that yellow one. But the rest of them are okay. His face is lit up perfectly. That's the most important thing. Indian Summer. There you go. That's when he was finished. The tribe paid him $30,000 for this event. Today it'd be $3 million. This is early on in the career of Blake Shelton, and the Indians were whining and complaining to have to pay him $30,000, but they paid it, and he performed. Yeah, I think this is a Sunday. It's either Saturday or Sunday. I don't know why I think it was Sunday. Of course, I guess you could look it up. Yeah. There you go. There's some Indian Summer. Yep. Right outside that big stadium thing. Oh, no, it was the fairgrounds. The Milwaukee Fairgrounds. Right near where all the highways intersect. On the water. Blake Shelton. That's what that TP. The first, going back to, there's Brule performing 7 and 8. So I guess this is 9. Friday, Saturday, and he was Sunday. So Brule performed on Friday night, Saturday night, and Blake Shelton was Sunday night. Brule fills the place. She's a flautist, and boy, I mean, the music that these people played was so spectacular. You can hear their music. Brûlé. There's the whole crowd of them. There's Papa. He's the head guy. He's got a bunch of gray hair now, probably. This is a brother. You know, that's the son. That's his son. There's the Papa. That's Mr. Brûlé. That's not his name. Brûlé is the name of the group. And that's his son, which he passed off to, for his guitaring expertise. And there's the son in the background, and there's the daughter, there's the flautist. And she was really, she's right in the middle of the group. This is not a relative. This is just your Indian drummer. A good one, but not a family member. There's just 3 family members. There's actually 4. His wife runs around taking videos, high-definition videos. And I was high-definition still photographer. He plays the electric, piano there intensely. It's hard to get a intensity on a piano from a photographer standpoint. He's got a fan at his feet blowing his hair. That's what that's all about. And he's got his hair glued down pretty tight. I had to turn the image sideways to get him and the guitar, everything in the picture. If I turned it straight up and down, I'd lose the top of this guitar, which I didn't want to do. So I just rotated my camera a little bit and got a sideways shot. I like this one, where she's flouting intensely, and the brother's, in the background. You gotta position yourself just right to make that happen, and you gotta make sure the camera is focusing on the right thing. And I wanted it right on the lips of the lady performer, which is the daughter. So that's the daughter and the son. The father would love that image. And I got father, daughter, and son, all 3 of them in that image. That wasn't easy to get. To get them all lined up, because they don't, they're performing. I can't tell them what to do, so you just have to get lucky. So you move around enough, you can get them. And there's when they're done, and they're, waving to everybody. And the father's got his arm around the daughter. There you go. Receiving accolades from the crowd. It's a huge crowd. It's completely packed. They're standing, like blades of grass. And of course, I'm on stage with these guys, so that's always nice. And Marilyn is up in the what is known as the Miller box, on top of the Miller's. It's a brick building, 500 feet away from the stage. And they have a downstairs thing, and they have an private upstairs area, which is where Marilyn is, for all the people that have something to do with creating Indian Summer, which Marilyn's sister was in charge of doing that, Judy Dordell. She was like the executive director, super. She had the golf cart riding around all over the place to make sure everyone showed up, for Indian Summer. You got all these exhibitors and performers and, art display people, and, they all have specific places along the whole waterfront area, encased in the fairgrounds. I think the north piece of the fairgrounds, the Miller Miller Stage. On Friday and Saturday night is rockin' and rollin' with Brûlé. And this Indian, it's really, I mean, the drum beats, is the sound of this is so dramatic. I really need to look up Brûlé and make sure we have the soundtrack of that. Because, you listen to that and you have your headphones on, if you can have headphones. It's really, because they had, full professional, they bring all their own stuff, their microphones, the stage, the Miller Stage hands, you have your own microphones and drums, and you bring all your own stuff, and then you plug it in to the sockets that are provided by the stagehands, so that you get locked into their sound delivery systems, the big elevated speakers. I mean, they're huge speakers. They're 16 feet tall. Some of them are elevated above the stage, and when those fire up, it fills the entire area with the most spectacular sound, with incredible detail and percussion. When they beat the Indian music, and this is Indian, southwestern Indian, Cherokee Indian, I think, kind of sound, and it's when they hit those, oh God, and they got big drum. That guy with the blowing hair. The drummer, he's over on the other side of this guy. When he beats those drums, they have some microphones down below that is the same kind of microphone we got right here. This microphone right here, this Electro Voice Series 300 series microphone is designed for two things: for excellent voice reproduction, which is happening right now as I'm talking to you, and you set it about 12 inches away from a drum, and it picks up, the percussion and the low frequency impact of a drum, particularly like an Indian drum, and all the electric guitar sounds and everything. Anyway, the recording equipment and the delivery, see, these kind of shots I really love, because she's in the middle, and then you have, a relatively good, depth of field for, I wanted him slightly out of focus. I can adjust my aperture. They could have been both in fine focus, but then it would be too busy. And your eyes, you wouldn't know what to be focusing on. So, focus on the young lady. When in doubt, go for the young lady with the flout. A flautist. She's playing a flute. See, now she's got a special microphone to pick up, and a little device there so that it doesn't pick up the wind that's blowing through her lips. You just want the flout sound. So that microphone is designed for that. And so we threw him a little out of focus so that you would focus on her. I think I have something focused on him. There's Mr. Brûlé. That's not his name. I just don't know his real name. There you go. I got some ones all. I went on the other side of the stage, which you got to go all the way around behind the back curtains and come around this way. It takes you about 5 or 6 minutes to get around there, because you're wiggling through people, because the next group is coming on and they're getting ready, and they're all behind the back curtains. And these guys come off and the other guys come on, during a 15-minute intermission. Anyway, so you got to step through all that to get around so I could take this picture. Yeah. So, see, that's on the other side of the stage to get him, because he's over on the left side of the stage. Yep. So he's got earpiece in so he can hear the actual sound. See, now I'm on the right side of the stage. Right side of the stage, yeah. See, now there's all three of them. I tried like hell to get this one. It took me 10 minutes to finally get these all three in the same shot. You know, in that square image. Indian Summer Brulee, 2007. And then there's a whole bunch of hexadecimal stuff indicating the photo number. So, you know, you can buy. So what's buy? You want to? Let's do that. So if you wanted a high quality print, which I sell them actually for my cost plus a little tiny bit. Let's make a full screen of this. Can I do that? Is it full screen? I guess it is. Oh, there we go. So you can do downloads. You can download for free. Okay. You see, you can just do save for photos. You don't need to. Here, I'll just save it. So now it's in my photo album. So you can just do that. You know, you don't have to pay anything. But if you want a real high quality paper prints, let's say standard size. I don't know, this is a square size. So let's go back to standard size, 20 by 30. See, these are like best fit. Okay. Look at this, a 16 by 20 for $35. Are you kidding me? Whew. You can have a luster, you can have glossy, or you can have this pearl. It's a Fuji Crystal Archival Pearl. It's a glossy paper with sharp detail, high intensity. I'm just reading it right here from this thing. The pearl, what pearl does for you, and pearl-like appearance. It gives warmth and depth. Let's do that. See, now you have to, because the shape of the paper, because it's a 16 by 20, you have to decide where you want. So we don't want to cut off her elbow, so we're going to move that right there. And then we're going to move on. Oh yeah, so then we can do the same thing with him. So you get that adjustment. Okay. So that's how you do that. Anyway, these prices are crazy low. See an 8 by 12 for $9. They're professional photographers that are taking field pictures at FAU Stadium. They're charging like $20 for an 8 by 10. This is $9. It's less than half. See, because I'm just, I don't want that other half. With this $9, I might get 50 cents. And over a year, it'll produce, about 1,300 hours. And that money, I've never taken a penny out of 416-1100. The money that gets, reserved in that account, and it's in a special account, is only used to pay the, it costs me about $400 a year for the host, which stores all these images. There's a server. There's actually 4 servers around the country that this host, and who's the host? You see that? Let's see, where is it? Does it show it all the way over? Maybe it's on this side. There you go. Let's do an expando. Let's give Smug Mug a plug. There it is. See it right there? Copyright Smug Mug 2015. smugmug.com. Be there, be square, and you can put your own photos up here. It wouldn't cost you, it cost you $20 or $30. Look at that. It's up to, there are more people on this site than just me, because this is counted up since we got here. That's cool. It keeps. Can you imagine 26 million? And this has never been advertised. I've never spent one nickel advertising this to anybody. But I tell people about it on my business cards, which I have in my back pocket. See, there's the cover of the book. Oops, I don't. Producers, give me some FaceTime here, will you? There we go. See, there's I have it in a little package. There's my FAU business card. You can see FA 4161100.com is somewhere on here. And there's the cover of the book I have on the back of my business card. That's pretty cool, right? I got the cover of my book, and I got my business card. Oh, and one little neat thing to keep in my back pocket. Yeah. They're the exact shape and size of a credit card. But there's no credit on there. It is strictly written information. But I financed a company that manufactures credit cards for prints, does the mag strips and the little circuit board things in credit cards for Visa and MasterCard. This guy produces billions of these cards for Visa, MasterCard, American Distress, and others. So I asked him, I said, hey, you know what? Could you, I gave him my business card. I said, could you put this on a business card? He said, well, of course. Send us the artwork. And I said, all right. How much would 1,000 of them be? You just want 1,000? I said, yeah, that's one. He said, so they come 500 cards in a box. There'd be 2 boxes. And it costs you 8 cents a card. So $80 for 1,000 then, huh? Yep. All right, let's do it. So I had him do like 3 or 4 different sets for different reasons. And I had the same front. No, not the same front. Let's see. Hold on a minute. I got boxes of stuff everywhere. So, on some of them, I put this on there. Well, that's Marilyn's. I made some for her, too. See, it says digital event imaging, which is true. And it has her phone number on it, her cell number, and her, and FAU4U2 WordPress, Boca Raton, Florida. She was mad at me. It's Marilyn M. Wilson. You fool. She really that's the first time she really got a little pissy with me. I forgot the M. But see, it was like informal. See, I'm Jim Wilson, not James L. Wilson. I said, come on, because we're handing these out to, sports fans at FAU Stadium. This is not like an interview with a big company. See, iPad and iPhone training, FAU4U2 at WordPress.com. I wrote, I'm going to say about 1,000, I'll put this down here, about 1,000 articles on FAU4U2.wordpress.com. And you can see, do we want to take a try at that? FAU, the number 4, U, the number 2, dot WordPress, WORDPRESS.com. Let's see. I want to get to the... I'll just hit this one. Let's see what happens. What's Jimmy think? That's it. You know, it was like an abbreviation. What does Jimmy think? Well, you know, come on. So, yeah, let's press that one. The first one that comes up. Let's do AI mode. I don't know what the difference is with that. Ooh, look at this. It gives all kinds of faculty members, platforms. I want to get to my stories. No, let's just look at all. All right, let me press that. What's Jimmy think? That's it. There we go. See, there's Jimmy with a camera. And then we have all these, each one of these little things. Let's look. I got politics news. I got, you can see all the different things here. Canon lenses, news about genetics, iPhone watches. And then down the side here, there's all kinds of. These are you touch on any of these and you end up with, you know, here's categories. You go all the way down here, and I actually drove Uber for a while, so I could write stories about Uber. Let's touch that one. What the heck? So now it's going to go find, or already has. So here's all my Uber stories right here. Broward County, Uber wins the people of Palm Beach County. You know, I mean, this is in the early days when they were just trying to get it approved. Broward County, they were like a pain in the butt, forcing Uber out. Let's see one of these articles. There you go. Uber wins. This is stuff that I wrote. Here's the county commission. Uber and the public also wins in Broward, a 6-2 vote. You know, Uber versus county commission, 4 hours of debating, and you know they really busted their chops. You know, and the reason why is because there were 700 cabs in like Broward County, if I remember right, and some portion of them donate to these people. So it's all about who's getting the money from who, you know. And Uber's something new. See, there's a meeting, and yeah, they're all up there where the flags are, and you got all these other news people, and you know. This is the Commission Chambers of West Palm Beach at 9:30 a.m. on August of 2015. And Stephen Abrams had something to say about it, and you know, chauffeur licensing, and Uber drivers aren't required to have chauffeur licensing, just a valid driver's license, because you're driving a car. You know, now when you're driving a limousine, which is bigger and longer and all that stuff, they require a chauffeur license. But Uber doesn't. So that was a battle. Anyway, so Palm Beach County got their pound of flesh out of Uber, and you know, you can read all this stuff, but you know, you accumulate all this information from the news media, and I put it all in one place so you can, you know, I used to get this out real soon after things happen. Yeah, this was written, a long time ago. But anyway, there are. Well, let's go to the very bottom of this website. There's me. There's my. Let's see. Maybe we have to be home. This is the home page. Whoa. Let's shrink that down. Those are all the different things. Here we go. There's 165,000 people currently reading on this site right now. This is not from me. This is from WordPress.com. There's some blog site statistics. This is from the WordPress people. I don't have any control over this. And if you have something you want to, you can join 1,680 other subscribers, whatever that means. I don't know. And if you want to follow this, you put your email address in there, and then every time I produce another article, you'll get an email saying, "Ooh, Jimmy just wrote another story." 165,085 currently reading. That's quite a number. I was looking for Tesla. Anything Tesla? Is there a search engine on this? I haven't been here in a while. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I'm looking around here. Search. I see, that's like a search results. There's archives. That's by date. Here we go. News: Tesla cars and electric autos. There should be a lot of... there's a lot of stories here. I wrote a lot about Tesla. This is even before I had owned a Tesla. And then I got into the battery technology. Let's see. 72% fewer collisions than other people. Tesla claims now that it is 10 times safer than the human driver. That should be an insurance company marvel. That you have computer-aided driving, and it makes your car 10 times safer than the best human driver. Here we go. What's this one? There you go. It's nice the way iOS DOS gives you a black background, so you can. It's getting a little gleeped off of what you're looking at because you're not seeing. There we go. We go full screen. Now you can see how it looks like from what I see. There you go. There are 325,000 cars in 1 week with $1,000 deposits. And I believe they were refundable. And when you sent out that tweet, there were 49,000 more cars sold. All online. They don't have dealerships. And that was a big complaint. Michigan was like crazy, allowing Tesla cars in Michigan because, a lot of states, Florida the same way, they had dealerships everywhere. And they were complaining that Tesla didn't have to have dealerships but could sell cars. Well, welcome to the internet, folks. Yeah. So, dealerships have all this real estate to display their cars. And, you can, let's see, YouTube test drive. Let's see if we can watch one of these. And see if even this link works. Oh my God, it still works. So now we can press this arrow. There we go, look at that. This is the show, the Tesla show of the Model 3. There we are. And you could I don't think you drove it. I think you test rode in it. You officially sat in a car that was being test driven by someone else, and they drove around, this whole enclosed area where they were displaying the car. There's the screen and all that kind of stuff. And this is real YouTube stuff. Yeah, let's subscribe him. Why not? And we'll press the arrow up. Yeah. 101 million views 9 years ago. I can go full screen on this. Look at that. This is pretty snazzy stuff. They're talking in the background, but we can't. I don't think I can get audio on this. Let's see if I can. Can we hear anything from this? Nope. Didn't think so. Okay, we'll go back to. But here we are. We're test driving around. This is the official original test drive of the Model 3 9 years ago. Can you believe it? Now here's a guy standing there with the X. It means, and now he's X. He's waving the other car, and he's like a traffic light. And he's like at an airport. This was a very serious event for Tesla and the participants, the party of 500 that got invited to this. He's focusing in on the screen, which that was unbelievable. But you got basically a steering wheel, a screen, and a pedal and a brake. And that's it. It's all electric. And look at the diameter of that steering wheel. It's not very big because it's all power, electric, hydraulics and stuff. So he's still got the X. He's waiting for clearance. Okay, now he's getting ready. Ready? Proceed. They're all like talking to each other. There you go. And he starts the course, and that's a super fast acceleration. And these cars are like rocket ships. So they gave you a little test strip where they could step on the pedal. And now you turn around. And then he says, okay, get ready again. And he floors it, and your head gets pressed back on the seat cushion thing. It's very impressive. This is the kind of guys, excuse me, doing the video can't keep himself on the. Forget about trying to focus on the screen. You're trying to get your heart rate back down. It was compared to any gasoline car that you've ever owned, unless it was a $1 million Maserati on the racetrack. This car will beat any other standard car on the road. Just, a $40,000 car. Basically beat anybody. Anyone looks over to you and says, you want to do a little draggy here? We're both at the green light. This is it. There's the wheels. You got this. I don't like those super flat tires. Those high-speed tires now. You hit a pothole and they go flat because there's not enough cushion, pneumatic cushion, I call it. We're going to add me back in. There we go. So, you need I want, 5 or 6 inches of rubber between the street and the rim, so that if you, there you go. Whoops, no, it's gonna. This is this is gonna go on and on because we happen to be on this. These are all current stories too. These are not all ones. This is the Honda robot. Yep, we'll stop that. Anyway, so we access that from the articles I wrote on WordPress.com. There was a software package, like Word or one of those, that was uniquely designed so you can write articles and publish them on WordPress. And it allowed me to add graphics and all kinds of things. And then they stopped, the people that wrote that software didn't want to keep it updated, for the WordPress, platform. And it just, as of a certain date, you couldn't use it anymore. And I couldn't find a convenient software package, that was as convenient as that was to author articles on WordPress. And, so it inhibited me from publishing articles on WordPress because I couldn't find a easy way to publish the way I did with this little icon that I had on my system. And then I could upload it, I had my upload information right there for WordPress, and it would get posted there perfectly the way I had designed it. And I could have like a little background color, and I could put images over here and my text over there and image all the way across, and I could move things around. And I'm sure there's a software package that'll do it, but it is probably complicated. I just got notice that my Instacart order, would you like any replacements? What do we need to, what's going on here? Okay. The answer is refund, no replacements on my tomato sauce. Oh, let's see, nope, they don't have them. I guess we'll pick that one. All right, I guess we're kind of like done here, right? What do you think? Oh yeah, I've been yakking here for 2 hours. Oh my God, 2 hours and 10 minutes. You see the countdown clock over here? Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Get the microphone out of the way. There it is. And we can go enter full screen. There you go. See it? 2 hours, 10 minutes, and a whole bunch of seconds. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah. I have a at 7 o'clock this morning, I did a Instacart order. And it wasn't for delivery until noon. So they are now shopping my Instacart order. And I'm going to have to hop off here and deal with Instacart before they start doing stuff I don't want them to do. So I gotta stop. You have to end with this full screen mode to be legal. All right, so I wish you have a great day. I got my cup of coffee here. I'll have a sip of that. I'm glad, YouTube has hung in there with us. It's not a simulcast. It's just a broadcast. And I'm happy that this is like having coffee with Jimmy in the morning. where I talk and you can send me text and I can change topics and talk about whatever comes to mind. Of political news, the House of Representatives has approved Trump's big new tax package. And that's what they called it, the big deal. And now it gets passed off to the United States Senate. No tax on tips is in there. No tax on overtime is in there. But the no tax on Social Security income could not be in there because they're doing this in the type of House of Representatives bill that this is. It's like an appropriations thing. Does not allow them to deal with Social Security anything. So what they're proposing is to put just give seniors 65 and older, a $5,000 tax credit. Just, as a number. Instead of worrying about, what your actual earnings were, For us, it's like a, 654. It's about a $5,000 or $6,000. So if we got, no tax on Social Security, that would help us with about $5,000 of our tax bill. So they're saying, we're going to give everybody $4,000. So that covers most of what what the president has promised, so to speak. So that's fine. They give me a $5,000 or $4,000, tax credit. Not income credit, tax credit. So if you owe $3,000 in taxes on your tax return, and they're going to give you $4,000 tax credit, that means you get a $1,000 refund in cash or money. Or if you had, no taxes due, then you get a $5,000 or $4,000 refund from the. Anyway, so that's a way to deal with that and not have to go and deal with the Social Security income thing. They apparently couldn't put that in this package because of a legal reason that it, the Senate couldn't pass it with that in there. So the House could pass it, but the Senate couldn't. So they figured there's no sense in putting it in there, if the Senate can't approve it because of their rules and regulations, which is different than the House of Representatives. Okay, say goodnight, everybody. We have 2 hours and 15 minutes and 10 seconds on the air, and we're gonna clean up the kitchen and get ready for this delivery. Of course, that's at noonish, so that'll come. They just drop it off the front door, and then I pick it up. I have 2 quart containers of half and half milk for my coffee. Bovine juice, as they say. They got all kinds of different things you can add to coffee. Acorn juice and, you got that. I want 4% milk. When I was a kid, all milk was 4% milk fat. Now it's 3% or 2% or 1%. No, I want 4% in my coffee. Yeah, that's the way milk always was. When you got a gallon of milk, it was all 4%. Now you got the health people, and cholesterol and this and that. You drink 1%. That's like drinking milk water. That's like drinking watered down milk. If you got 1% milk fat, you ever see what that looks like? And then compare that to a glass of 4% milk, which is what we used to drink as kids. There's more. There's more protein in it. Everything. Anyway. So the only thing that needs refrigeration is that 2 quarts of half and half. Half milk, half cream. That's what they call it, half and half. So, but if you look at the side of the label and everything, it's 4% milk fat. Whipping cream is 8% milk fat, just so you know. I think they've reduced that to 7%. You can't even get 8% whipping cream. I think it's 7%. They just reduced it, like a couple of months ago. Anyway, but half and half is 4%. And if they get that too low, then I'll just get whipping cream and add that to the, as they ruin that. Let's see. JFK Jr. or RFK Jr., keep your hands off my milk fat. He's not going to demand, he's just recommending for a healthy America. He can't tell you what to eat, but he can prevent these, cereal companies from putting poisonous colors, in your Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops in England doesn't have all the poisons that are in American Fruit Loops. So he's, that's going to change. And the people that manufacture that stuff will change that, to the benefit of our youth that eat that kind of cereal. And it will be safer to eat. And you wonder why, you have all this Alzheimer's and this and that, and, early youth cancer and early youth diabetics. These chemicals that they put in these things, for fancy colors or for fancy, what do you call it? Food preservatives. The less of that you can have, the better. I'd rather drink regular Coke or regular Pepsi than Diet Pepsi, because then you got chemistry. You got, it's not sugar, but it's, a word that's really long. You want short words like sugar. You know what I'm saying? You get these long chemistry words, and God knows what organ that's going to get stuck in. So just drink less regular Pepsi or Coke. So don't drink 6 cans a day. Drink 2 cans of regular Coke or Pepsi, and stay away from diet drinks. That's not the way to, just 1 scoop of potatoes instead of 2. That's a whole lot better than worrying about whether it's Diet Coke or not. And I understand that the president, our current president, drinks a lot of Diet Cokes or Pepsis. I don't know which one. He has a button on his desk, and then some girl comes out with a tray of a diet drink. This one's old, give me a new one. He probably drinks half of a whole bunch of them with ice. But really, one of his staff people comes in with a Coke out of the refrigerator. If I were him, I'd get up and go get it. Move around a little bit. That's more important than having the diet part. All right, I've had enough of my preaching on that. You all have a great day. We'll talk tomorrow, same time, 9 o'clock. Be there or be square. Weather permitting, meaning internet permitting. My internet has been, the upload speed has been very fast. So you all have a great day. Bye-bye.